This is home. Twin States News starts right now.
Dangerous heat still being felt across the South tonight. Let's check in now with meteorologist Todd Nelson with more on how hot temperatures are expected to get for the holiday weekend.
Well, it certainly has been hot over the last several days here, and tomorrow will be no exception. Looking at peak heat index values anywhere from 110 to 115. National Weather Service continuing the excessive heat warning for at least one more day. We may see similar heat index values on Sunday, but noticing that the core of the heat is breaking as we cool off a little bit into next week. We are going to see that shower and thunderstorm chance increase, and we'll have more details coming up in just a few minutes.
Despite the extreme heat that Todd Nelson was talking about, there are plenty of events planned for this weekend in the Queen City. Earth's Bounty is scheduled to take place tomorrow from 8 until noon at Singing Brakeman Park. Also tomorrow, Highland Park will have a community family fun festival. That event includes kid-friendly fun, music, food, pop-up shop vendors, and more. The festival will be at Highland Park from 10 until 3. And if you attend, you're allowed to bring your own lawn chairs and tents. Some people in Meridian are making the most of being outside today, even during this extreme heat wave. Twin States News reporter Jacobus Roby shows us how people in the community are enjoying the day in the midst of all this heat.
Customers and residents came out to Lakeview Golf Course this morning to enjoy being outdoors and feel appreciated. Director of Operations, Alicia Jordan, explains why today is a great day for golfing.
We did an appreciation just to show our customers that we appreciate them and we thank them for coming back out to the golf course. We're full just about every day and we're busy, so we're steady moving forward.
Although the extreme heat is a major factor to consider when being outside, Alicia remains positive customers will have a good time.
We provide water on the course. We also provide water here in the shops and a cooling space here for people that can cool off.
Doug Olson of Meridian and Toby Taylor of Collinsville share their thoughts on the extreme heat as well.
Well, you got to be careful, but we all bring plenty of water, and we on top of some of these hills out here, you get a little breeze, and we try to start around 9 o'clock where we can get through and get out of here.
Well, it is hot, and you need to be careful, but you got a little breeze and plenty of water. The golf course provides water on the course, so we take care of ourselves.
Despite the heat, they don't let it change their love of the game.
Got a lot of good friends out here that we play with, and it's just fun.
We played through when the course was in pretty rough shape, but it's getting nicer every day.
Even though the extremely hot temperatures are set to continue throughout the weekend, residents say it is a perfect day for golfing. In Meridian, Jacobus Roby, Twin States News.
It is the final day before the Supreme Court's summer recess, and the justices have saved one of their biggest decisions for last. In a 6-3 decision, the Supreme Court struck down President Biden's bid to forgive more than $400 billion in student loan debt. Carolyn Shively has more.
The hopes of more than 40 million borrowers once eligible for up to $20,000 in federal student debt relief are now dead. The Supreme Court gave one last blow to the Biden administration's $400 billion plan Friday after it had been blocked by lower courts. In the majority opinion, Chief Justice John Roberts challenged the premise of the administration's plan, saying it created, quote, a novel and fundamentally different loan forgiveness program.
This is a huge defeat for the Biden administration, politically and legally.
The conservative majority on the high court claiming the administration overstepped by using the HEROES Act to forgive debt. That law allows the Secretary of Education to make changes to loans during emergencies. The White House argued COVID-19 was one. 26 million people applied for the relief before the program was put on hold. In a dissent, Justice Elena Kagan writing, quote, the Secretary did no more than use the lawfully delegated authority.
Inflation has caused us to be in a situation where paying back a loan 4 years ago, like I was doing, is a lot more difficult for me these days.
Millions of borrowers haven't had to make student loan payments since 2020 because of a pause instituted during the pandemic.
It's time to restart the payments. We should have done that years ago. The fact that people still don't have to pay their student loans is ridiculous.
Meanwhile, in a blow to gay rights, the U.S. Supreme Court has ruled in favor of a Colorado web designer who does not want to make websites for same-sex weddings. Natalie Brand has the latest from outside the Supreme Court.
The Supreme Court Friday sided with web designer Lori Smith, who sued Colorado, saying the state's anti-discrimination law violated her right to free speech and religious freedom. She did not want to create websites for same-sex weddings.
Nobody should be forced to create a message that goes against his or her convictions.
In a 6-3 decision, Justice Neil Gorsuch wrote for the majority, saying the First Amendment envisions the United States as a rich and complex place where all persons are free to think and speak as they wish, not as the government demands. In the dissent, Justice Sonia Sotomayor wrote, for the first time in its history, the court grants a business open to the public a constitutional right to refuse to serve members of a protected class. CBS News legal analyst Jessica Levinson.
And so one can imagine that many sellers would say, well, part of my good or service is expression, and it violates my genuinely held beliefs to have to serve you.
Gay rights advocates note this ruling by the new conservative majority Supreme Court comes 8 years after the High Court ruled in favor of marriage equality.
8 years later now, here we are being legally discriminated against because of who we are marrying. Who's to say that down the line there aren't going to be signs in storefronts that says we don't serve gays or we don't serve the LGBTQ community?
Critics of the Supreme Court's decision worry it could open the door to discrimination against other groups based on race or religion. Natalie Brandt, CBS News, Washington.
As a potentially record-breaking holiday travel weekend kicks off, airports across the country are still seeing delays and cancellations. Some folks have been left waiting for hours, some days, to catch their flight. Casey Stiegel has more.
Found out that I had a delay by an hour, and as I'm checking in, another hour delay, and finally one more delay.
And she's not alone. People across the country have been waiting hours, even days, for their flights. TSA expects nearly 3 million people to pass through security checkpoints for the July 4th holiday.
If passengers can do their part and show up on time, pack smart, I think we're all going to have a really smooth weekend.
According to FlightAware, more than 35,000 flights have been delayed and 7,000 canceled since Saturday. United Airlines is faring the worst, already canceling more than 5% of its flights early Friday morning. Experts say multiple factors are contributing to the chaos.
Thunderstorms, we've got wildfires going on, and we've got a holiday weekend coming up. So that's already busy, and we've got all these other factors. Plus, we have staff shortages from the airlines, still from the pandemic.
Some airlines, including United and JetBlue, also blame the Federal Aviation Administration for the travel issues, as the agency sees a shortage of about 3,000 air traffic controllers. The FAA responding, quote, "We will always collaborate with anyone seriously willing to join us to solve a problem."
Some sad news out of Hollywood. Actor Alan Arkin has died, famous for many roles spanning the genres including Little Miss Sunshine, Argo, and Kominsky Method. We take a look at his longtime career. Here's Ashley Dvorkin.
Oscar-winning actor Alan Arkin has died at the age of 89. His sons Adam, Matthew, and Anthony, in a joint statement on the family's behalf, said, "Our father was a uniquely talented force of nature, both as an artist and a man, a loving husband, father, grand, and great-grandfather. He was adored and will be deeply missed."
I think I can do better.
The legendary star of stage and screen was most recently in the series The Kominsky Method, showcasing his signature dry humor opposite Michael Douglas. Arkin was nominated for an Emmy, Golden Globe, and SAG Award for the comedy, part of a long and varied career.
Yeah.
He was a founding member of the Second City Improv Troupe. In addition to acting, he was a theater and film director, author, composer, and singer. Alan earned accolades early on. A Tony for his debut performance in the 1963 play Enter Laughing. And he was nominated for an Oscar for his first starring role in the 1966 film The Russians Are Coming, The Russians Are Coming. Arkin received Oscar nominations for 1968's The Heart is a Lonely Hunter, as well as 2012's Argo.
Dwayne, that's your name, right?
In 2006, his performance as the grandfather of a dysfunctional family on a road trip in Little Miss Sunshine earned him the Best Supporting Actor honor.
I am deeply moved by the open-hearted appreciation our small film has received, which in these fragmented times speaks so openly of the possibility of innocence, growth, and connection. Acting for me has always been and always will be a team sport. I cannot work at all unless I feel a spirit of unity around me.
In Hollywood, Ashley Dvorkin, Fox News.
Scientists are using an autonomous robotic fish to survey and study underwater ecosystems. Details on what they have discovered so far.